I've started a program working with events for you. This is where I have it, where I've got the HTML and some basic CSS done. We have a header section, a main section, 4 thumbnail images that are clickable, and then we have a main image with the title and a figure caption. And you're going to be changing the main image, the title, and the figure caption when somebody clicks on the buttons. So I have part of one function programmed for you to get you started with this. So when I clicked on the second button, it changed the image. I didn't change the title or the figure caption. From what we've done over the last few weeks, you should be able to figure out how to do those, but let me walk you through the code that you're getting. So when you download the files, you'll get Puppy 1 through Puppy 4, and if you'd like to change images on this, you're welcome to. I got these off of Pixabay. Let's go through the HTML quickly. I have my link to the style sheet, which is styles.css, and this is really simple, and again, I'm trying to give it to you to save time, but if you wanted to redo some of these styles, you are welcome to. I've set the body background to black. I've set the header, colors, background, things like that, main, and then I have the thumbnail, which are these. So that's a class thumbnail that's applied to each of the thumbnail images here. And they're not exactly the same because they weren't exactly the same size to begin with. I could go further into Photoshop. I just wanted them to be the same width. I wasn't really worried about height. If you want to take it further, you can, but for this exercise, that was good enough. So I've set the thumbnail width to 20% with a margin to 2.25%. That adds up to 100% for the 4 images. Then I have the main image at a width of 100%. And then I have, this is the, actually the figure for main image, and then this is the main image itself. Actually, let's double check that. So the figure class is main image, and that's width is set to 100%. Then in that class, inside that div, we have the actual image itself with the ID of large, which is set to a width of 85% and a margin of 10 pixels, auto, which is centering it. Then we have the thumbnails section. Let's show you that. We have the class thumbnails. That's the div here that's holding each of the thumb images, and that's set to a total width of 80% and centered. And then we have the title ID, which is text align center, font size, font weight. You can play with those settings if you want to. So that's the basic styling. Styling you don't have to change, but you're perfectly allowed to. Let's look where I've started you with the actual JavaScript. So for the actual JavaScript, now I've done something a little different than what they did. And I've I've added to the comments a link to the information. Now they were passing in just the event handler when they called the function, which allowed them to stop things from moving by getting rid of the default action. In the HTML, instead of just having a hashtag which links to the page, I have it linking to the actual ID, which will, for default behavior, instead it's going to move it, if we're up here where you can't see this, it's going to move it so that the thumbnails are on the top. So if I click on any of these, it will take me to the same spot. So once we have clicked on them, they'll stay at the same spot where you can see the thumbnails and the image. That gives me a little more control than simply getting rid of the default behavior to make this scroll up and sit right where I want it. So that's just a programming choice that I've made. And then I'm using use strict. There's a link here. This is to help you avoid mistakes like using a variable that you haven't declared. It won't allow it to go through. It's an error checking thing. Then I've created an array of images. So we have puppy 1, puppy 2, puppy 3, puppy 4. They're right here. And so you'll want to add an array for the title, and you'll want to add an array for the figure caption. So I'm giving you a pattern to work off of. I've created a constant named 2. Now this is the second button, but you do want to remember that when we're actually working in an array, It's 0, 1, 2, and 3 for the images. So when we want to move to the second image, we use our document query selector large, that's the large image, and we change the source to the array images 1, which is puppy 2, because this is image 0. Remember, 0, 1, 2. And so I've added an event listener to 2, which is my image, that when they click on it, this is something that they didn't show you in the lynda.com videos. I'm calling a function here where it's not just the function name. I'm calling the anonymous function, then I'm calling the swap function, so I can pass the number from the arrays. And they should all be parallel arrays. So when you're doing an array for titles, title 1 should go with puppy 1. Actually, title 0 in the array area. And then for the captions, they should be in the same order. So this gets you off to a start, saves you some time in creating the HTML. And what you need to do is finish it so that when you are done programming it, each of these buttons will work and they will change the image, the title, and the figure caption.